In this segment, I'll be talking about critical thinking. Critical thinking and creative thinking are two topics which can be spoken about in a sequence. First, I'll talk about critical thinking, and then we move on to creative thinking. Then you will know the difference. Firstly, what is critical thinking? It refers to the ability to analyze information critically, objectively, and make a reasoned judgment. It involves the evaluation of sources. You need to have data, facts, observable phenomenon. What is observable phenomenon? For example, if you're a science student, I can talk about the oscillation of a pendulum. And you find some research. Why does it happen? The scientific finding of this pendulum, the oscillation, the reason for the oscillation. Why? How does such an oscillation take place? So good critical thinkers can draw reasonable conclusion from a set of information. You take that information, you discriminate it, what is useful for you, what is not useful for you. You discard the unrational portion, you discard the less useful details, and to solve problems or make decisions. You need to reach to a conclusion. That is what you mean by thinking critically. What are the process of critical thinking? You have to carefully take a subject or an idea. You need not apply your feelings or opinions to that idea. You are standing apart and thinking about it. You shouldn't be biased about it. It is a process of thinking and contemplating that idea. You're scrutinizing that idea. You're measuring the idea. You're sifting the facts from it. You're surveying it. And then you're going through something like a sort of acid test. Right? That is, you're taking the idea and you test out that idea. And you want to come to a right conclusion about that idea. You have to ask questions and investigate the validity of that information. Instead of just believing in the previously, you might have previous information about it. You never let that information to become biased for you in this search for a solution. You might be picking up the same idea, but which you might have knowledge about that idea previously, but you have to keep that information apart, and you create new data, and you discard the bias you had about that idea, and you think about it critically. So critical thinking calls for the ability to recognize problems and find workable means for meeting those problems. This is called unlearning. If you are an engineer, you will have to unlearn many things in your future courses, in your future processes of studying and working. So, critical thinking allows you to understand the importance of prioritization. You have to prioritize things. You have to put forth the list of things which should come next, which should go down the list, and you should have to reject many assumptions or values you have accepted through your beliefs and through what you have heard. There will be a large collection of information in your in your heads, in your memory, through assumptions. So you have to discard certain assumptions, and you have to collect ideas according to their rationality. So critical thinking here becomes self-guided, self-disciplined thinking. It is an attempt to reason out in a fair-minded manner, to live life rationally, empathetically, and truthfully, because you are living on facts only. You are believing in your facts. I'll give you an example here. If you're writing a resume, at the end of the course, if you're writing research associate with 4 years experience in research work analyzing the effects of fast food on children, what does it show? The resume shows your analytical skill, your application of critical thinking to solve that problem, that project. You have analyzed many data. You have put forth many facts. You have taken the observable phenomena, and you have taken the research finding after or going through all these process of critical thinking. So your analysis here includes asking questions, data analysis, research, interpreting the ideas. You have come to a judgment based on facts only, objectively and not subjectively, not based on assumptions. You have taken out pure evidence, so it becomes truthful. You have empathized with that idea. And finally, you have achieved your effective communication skill, and you have put forth the conclusion through this vocabulary, your collection of lexicology. This is what critical thinking would do for you. Why do employers value critical thinking? Because employers want candidates who can evaluate a situation using logical thought and offer the best solution, not emotional persons, logical persons. Someone with critical thinking skills who can be trusted to make decisions independently and will not be constantly holding others' hands and asking for opinions all the time, not dependent persons. Critical thinking abilities are the most sought after skill, one of the most sought after skill in almost every industry and workplace. I'll give you certain examples of critical thinking. For example, an attorney, a judge who wants to settle a case, he takes pure evidence. He reviews all the evidence and devises a strategy to put forth a judgment. If you are in industry, a manager, he tries to analyze the customer feedback forms, and he uses this information to develop a customer service training session for employees. He would bring out the employees in front of him, and a discussion would follow regarding the needs of the customer. See, such and such a customer in that geographical area needs such and such a thing. This product would go to that area. This product would work in such a manner for this person. So, customer feedback forms are used for critical thinking and improve the company's productivity. So now let us move on to from critical thinking to creative thinking. If critical thinking is purely rational and I should put it simply, reason, creative thinking is a way of looking at problems or situations from a fresh perspective to conceive something new or original. It is the ability to form something new out of what is presented. For example, an example would be, all of us are movie goers. We love movies. You might understand that almost 80% of the movies have the same storyline, but each story, it is a hackneyed theme. Almost all the themes are common, but every director puts forth the theme in a different manner. The theme is treated or interpreted in a different manner. The presentation is different. The actors act it out in a different manner. So this is what is called creativity. That is what I said. Creativity is the ability to form something new out of what is presented. The thing is already there, but you have to present it in a different manner. Your creativity, your personal talent comes into it. So creative thinking is our ability to think differently and provide new angles and perspectives to a solution. The problems are always there. The problems will be identical, but each of you will be dealing it in a different manner. You might have seen that when you are sitting in a group, There will be so many discussions and jokes, but some people would come up with fresh new ideas, amazing ideas, which the other won't be able to reject. The ability to connect the dots and see the larger picture, all this rests in a certain skill. This skill is called creative thinking. It is the ability to look at ideas presented or a scenario and find new alternatives that solve the problem. You might be thinking that, oh, only designers or musicians or artists have creative ideas. No, a lot of people can benefit from thinking creatively, even if you're working. If you're not working in a glamorous field also, you can come up with so many creative ideas. Everything would be working for the community, because there are always beneficiaries around you who would be ready to accept your ideas. The two main elements of creative thinking are creative thinking provides self-awareness, and we become more confident in our ideas. We start to think with authenticity. As you are using your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own beliefs. Maybe your ideas are biased, but then we can learn to set those aside and deeply learn about ourselves. So this way, while you're creatively thinking about something, you become self-aware. You understand that I have been carrying such biases so far. I should be discarding those biases. In the same manner, we become more confident in our ideas. What do you mean by that? For example, your ideas may not be accepted for the time being, but by tapping into your creative thinking, you can build that confidence in your ideas and rebuild on it, and you can start to contribute to the group and the work at large. If you're rejected for the time being, never reject your idea. The idea may be rejected by others, but keep that idea in yourself. Build it up, improve on it. And if you put it in another way, another manner, if you put it in another plate and present it in another manner, it might get accepted. Creative thinking skills. What are the skills that can be applied for creative thinking? Perception and empathy. By being perceptive, you mean that you are able to read the other person's perception. You are trying to understand the other person's perception. For example, if you're in a meeting, you can understand the other person's mood. You can accept the other person's perception, and you can accept those ideas. And the people, sometimes your ideas may not be receptive to others, but you can accept the other person's idea, and because the other person has got some sort of plan, and you can support that plan and can make it effective. If you're conducting, for example, as a group of students, you're made to conduct some sort of festival. You have cultural festival, technical festival, sports, etc. And many people can come out with many perceptions. If you understand that person's perception and empathizing with that perception, then all of you are indulging in creative thinking. That is a perfect example of perception and empathy. Open-mindedness. What is open-mindedness? You might have heard about Richard Branson. He is a magnate, an industrialist of Virgin Group, an investor, an author. His famous words are, "Business opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming." So we understand by this quotation that, I read the quotation once more, open quotation, "Business opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming," close quotation. You might understand the imagery here. Buses are always plying on the road. You wait for a bus, you might have missed it. Another bus comes in, another bus comes in, still another bus comes in. You have the whole day to wait for the bus until midnight. The bus might come in. So the ideas are like that in business. You can always improve your ideas for business. Sometimes I'm talking this because sometimes you might be entrepreneurs in your life. So you have always ideas, improving ideas for your businesses. So that is called, what do you mean by open-mindedness here? Once you have taken an information, it is important that you have an open mind. This means that you need to set aside your biases or assumptions and encourage yourself to look at a problem in a new way. When you're running a business, there might be innumerable problems. You will have to solve all these problems by driving away the biases and assumptions. These are some of the mental barriers you will be facing. You have heard about Elon Musk. He's a CEO of SpaceX and Tesla. Tesla, it is a manufacturing company of electric cars. He always says, he repeats this sentence quite often, open quotation, failure is an option here, close quotation. We always believe that, oh, such and such a businessman, he's a very successful business person, his decisions are always correct. But all businesses have many failures heaped upon them, that they come out of these failures with new and new ideas. So always understand, failure is an option. Success is not guaranteed. You have always to come out of these failures with new and new ideas. That is called open-mindedness. There might be limitations in businesses. That is, you're thinking of a problem too logically, and that creative thinking is somehow breaking the rules. So these are limiting, because we know that to have an open mind is to succeed. Every successful entrepreneur, therefore, I have said, in the world today had to break rules at some point. So too much logic, sometimes too much logic, that is what I mean. Too much logic or rationality in a problem would not do good. You have to bring your creative thinking also into this. That is why I quoted from Richard Branson and Elon Musk, whose works revolutionized or created an entirely new industry, all because just they didn't back down to how things were. You can do with your group or with your businesses if you become an entrepreneur later in your life in the same fashion. Analytical skills may help us understand many situations with the help of the text or data. But in creative thinking, you be able to analyze information, but you have to keep aside the reason for the moment, and have to think creatively to have a deeper understanding of what they will mean and how they will serve you in a variety of ways. Being organized also plays a crucial role in creative thinking. That is, you are able to organize your ideas. You are able to present it as well. When we present ideas, it is similar to a speech. There will be a structure, a vision that is easy to follow and understand. Furthermore, if your idea is given the green light, you will need to form an action plan. You will have to set goals. You will have to set specific deadlines. So after organizing your thoughts, you will keep your toes crossed and prepare for almost anything. The next step in creative thinking is communication. You got your ideas, you thought about it, you kept aside the rationality, then you thought about your ideas in an abstract manner, in a novel way, in an innovative manner. Then you try to bring it out in a concrete manner. You again bring in your rationality back into this, Thus, your ideas become creative as well as rational, and then you have to organize them, then you have to communicate them. You can't sell a group or an individual or an idea if you can't communicate it effectively. This applies to both written and verbal communication. So here you become a good listener, or you become a good person in expressing your ideas, and you're able to ask the right questions. Then you dissect these ideas with your group while creative in this process of creative thinking. Here what happens, the creative thinking and the critical thinking is both put on a single platform, because there will be a lot of criticism, critical dissection of the ideas. The creativity, the creative ideas put forth will be critically interpreted, and you can this skill thus becomes, this dissecting of ideas, this skill becomes a challenge that will pay off in so many ways, because here the merging of critical thinking and creative thinking happens. The ability to look at ideas and break them down and dissect them and merge with ideas is a great skill that need to be practiced in companies. It can solve disputes, and I'll give you a few examples of creative thinking. One is, if you're designing anything, you can design anything from a logo to a simple web page layout to a poster or more. That here creativity comes in. Your creative thinking helps in coming out with the product. If there are 5 of you in a group, each person comes out with different individual ideas. That is what is called creative thinking. If you're creating a lesson plan for a group, if there are 5 people, the lesson plans would be characteristically different in each of the 5 plans. If you're writing a journal, if you're writing a blog, if you're creating a test or a quiz, if you're finding procedures to improve the quality of a product. For example, many of our students in our college have come out with many products. When you come to college, you can see the machines they have, equipments they have built up. Nowadays, some of the students have created a sanitary. What we are using, the sanitizers for the time being. They have come up with a new idea through which you can use the sanitizer by just kicking on the machine, putting a foot on the machine like a peddler. These are ideas that are put forth by the students through the process of the creative thinking. The solutions to improve a product or service. It is not just the ideas that can be put forth. You can make it effective. You can make it into a product. Your creative thinking tags you to the end of the manufacturing level. So creative thinking and critical thinking both go together, and that will make you a successful person, because these are skills and abilities that can change the world, change your life, and anyone can adopt these. So long as you have the patience to learn and develop yourself, you too can be a creative thinker. The next topic I'll be discussing is emotional intelligence. We have heard about intelligence quotient, IQ. What is EQ or EI? Emotional intelligence. If I want to talk to you about emotional intelligence, as being science students, I'll be talking about the amygdala. You might have learned about it in your previous 2 years. while you are preparing for this entrance exam or in your syllabus for plus 2 on the plus 2 level. In humans, the amygdala, the Greek word for almond, this is spice what we have in a food. The Greek word for almond, amygdala, is an almond-shaped cluster of interconnected structures situated just above the brainstem near the bottom of the limbic ring. Tears come out of our eyes. It is an emotional signal unique to humans and is triggered by the amygdala and a nearby structure, the cingulate gyrus, being held or stroked or smoothed or soothed, which will stop the sobs. It will stop our crying. Without an amygdala, there are no tears of sorrow to soothe. Amygdala in the brain's architecture, it serves as an alarm. It will send message to every part of the brain. It will trigger the secretion of the bodies. Either you should run away or you will stay and fight. Those hormones are being controlled. And it also activates the cardiovascular system and the muscles. It heightens the activity of the senses and sets your brain on edge. It also signals the brainstem to fix your face either in a fearful expression or to freeze in fear, or it will increase your heart rate, or it can raise your blood pressure, or it can slow your breathing. Thus, we understand that amygdala triggers an emotional response or acts as an emergency. The neocortex, the term which you are also familiar with, it is a part of the cerebral cortex and it is concerned with sight and hearing in mammals. The neocortex and its centers like the prefrontal lobes, they become the seat of planning and organizing action, including emotional ones. When an emotional response takes place, the prefrontal lobes dictate the reactions to it, working with the amygdala and other circuits in the emotional brain. For example, we see the animals know when to attack, or like the tiger or the lion, it knows when to attack. The deer, it knows when to run. In the same manner, human beings know when to persuade, when to seek sympathy, when to be brave, when to be angry, for what things they have to develop likes and dislikes. It also helps in linking. It also helps in linking thoughts and emotions. Gives the right direction. Give away the wrong doings. Hence, the neocortex, amygdala, and the prefrontal lobes are working together and interacting well with. This leads to emotional intelligence or intellectual ability. So you see that science has a particular role in emotional intelligence. Emotion, what is emotion? It is a feeling, and emotional intelligence is the ability to motivate oneself. When one is confronted with frustrations or one has to control oneself, for example, if you want an ice cream for the moment, but you're controlling yourself because you can't go out, there are no shops, you can't move out as freely as you can because it is a pandemic situation. You're controlling that impulse. You want to regulate your moods. You want to keep away from some sort of sorrow, some sort of distress. Maybe you wanted to go for some other course and you have not received that course. You want to do away with that distress. What emotional intelligence steps in here? It gives the ability to think, empathize, and hope for better. Emotional intelligence is as important as intelligence quotient. It can be learned as intelligence quotient, and it can be improved upon. It means one must understand how to use emotion intelligently. The emotional brain is as involved in reason as is the thinking brain, which means that emotions are linked with rationality. It manages your emotional intelligence manages your emotions. It makes you a more motivated person, a more courageous person, a more independent person. It guides your moment-to-moment decisions, working hand in hand with the rational mind. The thinking brain plays an important or an executive role in our emotions. But emotions should not become out of control. If the emotional brain runs rampant, that is, if the emotional brain is not brought under control, you become uncontrollable. In a sense, we have two brains, two minds, two different kinds of intelligence, rational and emotional. What we do in life, how we fare in life, is determined by both. It is not just your intelligence, but your emotional intelligence also that matters. So your intellect, your intelligence, your rational mind cannot work at its best without emotional intelligence. We cannot do away with emotion and put reason in its place. And so on. In the same manner, we cannot do away with reason and put emotion in its place. But instead, we have to balance the two. That makes a person intelligent. So it is, to put it simple, it is harmonizing the head and the heart. You need to understand exactly how to work upon it, and that makes you an emotionally intelligent person. This is the end of the segment, and I'll be giving you the next segment within a few minutes.